Hello, everyone. I'm Sharron Ragan, a spiritual mentor, coach, and owner of Heart, Soul, and Art, one of the largest metaphysical shops in the Atlanta area. And today, I'm here to talk about a lot of things around the spiritual world. And I know that this is kind of a wide open subject because everyone has a different perspective of what spirituality means to them and how do you grow that spirituality. But most importantly, this podcast is all about what's your spiritual lifestyle? What kind of spiritual lifestyle do you want to create? And, to really step back a few minutes, I think that you have to define what being spiritual means to you. And of course, that has a lot of definitions as well. But one of the things that I've noticed lately that I've actually been very involved in, is starting to take a look at other spiritual leaders. And we have in the world so many amazing spiritual leaders that I could just make a long list. And then we have a lot of what we call spiritual leaders that are not necessarily what I would call above board. And I guess what just have to say, I'm just going to say the word, just going to say it, they're frauds. They are only concerned about controlling you and getting your money. And there's a lot of them out there. Now, a lot of spiritual frauds start from the level of being an intuitive or a psychic or a mystic. And then, of course, it starts to even go up in levels where they become a teacher, a leader. They call themselves a healer. And let me also address the term healer. I have really become very sensitive to the word healer. When people call themselves a healer, personally, I think that that is the wrong direction. We are not healers. We channel healing energy and we bring that healing energy to an individual, and it's up to that individual whether or not they choose to heal, because there are many people in this world that they're where they are in their life, they're just not ready to accept an energy that might help them heal. But that's their own personal journey. So I'll talk about that later. I'm going to talk about healers later. But right now, I want to get back to just really talking about what I call spiritual frauds. I'm going to give you an example of one that I personally experienced, and I don't even know how to begin to explain my full feelings around this. But on the internet, you have all kinds of individuals who they put out a call for let me do your astrology or let me do your numerology, and they may offer a free something, but then the next thing you know, you get an email or you get something back that says, "Oh, we can give you a reading or insight on your destiny," which a lot of people can do, and they're very legitimate and they do a great job. But there are people out there that will take advantage of you because they'll give you what we call an initial overview or insight or a reading, and then they will tell you something negative. They'll say that you've either got an entity on you or you're someone surrounding you trying to harm you. And then, of course, what's the next step? Oh, they can take care of that for you for a little bit of extra money. And sometimes that extra money is a lot of extra money. Sometimes they do an initial session or something with you, and maybe it's 100, maybe it's $200. I don't know, maybe it's 25 or $75. But then when they come back and say, we can help you erase this negative entity, or we can get this off of you, now you start talking $300, $500, $1,000. And all of there's been stories in the media about people who take advantage of people, and some people have paid thousands and thousands of dollars. But I also want to talk about not just that type of what we call spiritual fraud, but I want to talk about kind of the average person that is doing that. And I don't think they intended to do that initially, but I think because of a lot of the controversy in the world right now. They're getting caught up in a lot of negativity, and it's starting to show up in their work. So I want to go through a couple of things today with you about how to spot a what I call a fraud, or someone who is not really walking their talk. I mean, they may be very good at what they do, but now they've gotten caught up in other things and they're not walking their talk, and they're actually spreading negative energy, and that's could impact you as well. And, thank you for being here today. I hope that what I'm going to bring in this podcast is going to help you be able to make some decisions about how you structure your spiritual journey, and literally what your spiritual lifestyle is. So, one of the first signs of someone that if you encounter them is it's really that they're overly focused on their own power, their own fame, their own ego. They want to make great claims. They want to tell you how many people they've healed. They want to tell you how, their sessions are amazing. And get this one. This is one that always gets me. They're 100% or they're 99% correct. Now, I'm an intuitive, and I'm going to tell you right now, I am not 100% correct. And the reason that I'm not 100% correct is that we have to interpret information, and the feeling may be right, but the interpretation may not be correct. And there are times, we are prone to make mistakes. And if a person is willing to acknowledge that, that's all the better. And we should be willing to acknowledge it. And I know that there have been times that I've shared information with individuals, I've given them insight, and they've come back and said, well, it didn't happen. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look at that. Perhaps I was wrong. So a person who is truly spiritual, who is truly in integrity, who is being congruent in the work that they do, is willing to say, well, perhaps I was wrong. That is something that a narcissist can't do, is they will not admit that they're wrong. And a lot of spiritual, well, shall I say, people who call themselves spiritual leaders won't say that they're wrong. The other thing you want to watch out for is someone who does a lot of healing work or energy work, and they want to tell you what their clients are saying about them, but yet you never see the actual review of what the client is saying about them. And honestly, the client should be saying it directly to the audience, whether it's in writing or whether it's a video that they shot, or if it's a text or anything. But the more that the actual customer gives a testimonial, then the more authentic the person that they're working with is. And I personally know a lot of people who call themselves healers right now. They use that term, I healed this person. No, you didn't heal anybody. You are maybe a great channeler, and you're channeling vast energy. And I can acknowledge and appreciate that, but you're bringing that to your client, and it's up to your client to make that decision if they heal. And again, just keep in mind, there's nothing wrong with having good testimonials. There's nothing wrong with saying that you have clients who have succeeded, but you don't want to engage with people who are constantly telling you just how great they are. So another sign that you may encounter is, well, they use fear-based tactics. They tell you, and that's kind of what I was just talking about earlier, is they start saying to you, well, you'll never be successful, or you'll never have a relationship because you're not willing to take the steps that I'm sharing with you. But what they're sharing is they want you to pay more money, or they want you to actually do more work. Now, I myself, I do coaching. I'm a mentor, but what I have is I have a very distinct program. It's a set price, and it's a list of everything you get, and I do work and you do work, and we both work together. And so there's a big difference between that and then, with me saying to someone, well, yeah, you can only go so far, but in order for you to really overcome this issue, I can solve that for you. It's going to cost you more money. And that's where you just want to be cautious. You want to literally step back and make good decisions. Um, the other part around this is what I call lack of transparency, and that's being able to truly explain what you do, or to truly be able to list out what you're going to receive, whether it's a coaching program or a weekend program or a 6 month or a year-long program. You should have a very clear understanding of what it is that they're going to help you with, and what the accomplishments would be, and why should you pay money to be able to work with this individual. And you also don't want to have people who are being very pushy. They're very high sales. They push you into this. I know that I actually attended a seminar one time, and I was I was literally shocked. The leader of this organization, who had a huge client base, actually sat on stage, because her program was, I think, around 25,000 for a year. She actually said on stage, "Well, maybe you want to consider taking out a second mortgage on your house to be able to pay for this program." And I just found that a little shocking. Um, I know that this person doesn't do that anymore, because I think they realized that that was not the right direction. But when you get people who are pushing you to step into situations like that, then you really want to, you kind of want to step back and say, now, do I really want to do this? Now, again, don't get me wrong. There are amazing leaders in this world that do charge a lot of money, but you would have already have gone through several layers of their program. And I could name a lot of amazing leaders who are what I call spiritually based, who will take you to a different level, and they do deliver. And yes, it can cost a lot. However, these individuals that are moving forward in these programs are actually creating the business of their dreams, or the life of their dreams, or they're bringing in the relationship of their dreams, because it's working. And there are really some great people out there that have good programs, and they also offer what I call money back. If you decide at some point that they determine that this isn't right for you, you can say, no questions asked, I want my money back, and those organizations will give you your money back. There's a lot of organizations out there that will make you jump through hoops, and then they'll give you some excuse why. So stay away from that. Read contracts. That's the other thing. I encourage you, always read contracts. Don't take them lightly, because you don't know. There could be some small language in that contract that keeps you from being able to get your money back if you want your money back. And in my business, especially in spiritual work, I have a certain timeline, but if you decide that this doesn't work for you, or I haven't produced what I claimed I would produce, you get your money back. No questions asked, because I don't want unhappy people. I want people that want to go through the program. The other piece that we should all look at is, what are their credentials? Now, this is kind of an iffy thing, all right? Because there are people in this world that are just gifted, and they may not have gone to college. They may not have actually participated in any programs or received accreditations and things like that, and they're just very gifted, and their work speaks for itself. But again, be careful. Pay attention to that. But I do believe that a person should have experience. They should have validation in what they are doing. They should have examples. They should have clients, and they should have testimonials. And in my case, I'm a big believer. I have some clients that have gone through my programs, and they've agreed that if a potential client wants to call them, they could call them and have a conversation with them. And therefore, I have an actual client explaining what their experience was in a program that I may be executing. And so, that's always a great opportunity if you have that opportunity. And then the other piece is Professionals are professionals, and a professional should have a website. They should have some form of social media. It should be organized. It should be together. They should have an easy way that you can either sign up for their program or speak to them directly or get feedback from maybe they have assistants or people that can help you. So that's another clue if you are trying to register for something. And I see this on social media a lot where people are pitching a product or a program or something, and then people click on it, and then they can't register or they didn't get what they were supposed to get, and you want to pay attention to that because that is important. Uh, so, what are some of the traits of a true spiritual leader or an energy worker? And I like to call people energy workers and not healers. So first and foremost, they have integrity and they're authentic. I mean, they truly share with you who they are, what they've done, and what they can do for you. They're transparent, and I think the biggest part is they walk their talk. Whatever they preach, they do. And that's right now what I'm seeing a lot. I see this so much on social media, and it really discourages me. I mean, I myself right now have many, I'd say many, because it's a lot of spiritual friends and spiritual associates that I now see getting all caught up in the negative energy on social media, and they're calling people names. They're just getting caught up in judging others and almost putting out hate. And it hurts my soul and it hurts my heart to see them be so aggressive and almost to the point of being a bully, of basically saying, if you don't believe like I believe, or if you don't believe in the person I believe in, then there's something wrong with you, or you're stupid, or you're a moron. I mean, I myself have really worked hard on making sure that I'm not calling people names, because that's negative energy and that surrounds you. And I have been seeing a lot of people who call themselves spiritual leaders really just sort of get caught up in this. And it hurts my soul because they're good people, but they are going down into that rabbit hole, and that's going to affect their energy, and it will definitely affect their work. Um, the other thing that you don't want to get caught up, or you definitely want this individual that you might want to do work with, you want them to guide you to trust your own intuition. You want them to guide you to build your own personal power. You want them to have an ability or programs that you become empowered, that you become confident, that you're able to move forward on your own, and that you're able to step out into the world and navigate maybe challenges that you had in the past, but now you can navigate them. And that a good leader will provide you tools, they'll provide you guidance, they'll provide you the resources for you to go out there and build strength in who you are and what you want to do. And therefore, you will start to be a person that can depend upon yourself and not on others. Another good trait of a good spiritual leader is that they also give you clear, honest communication. They answer your questions. They are available if you need to talk more, or they have others that can help you understand what the program might be about, or even if it's, even if someone you're doing readings with someone, or it's, intuitive work, that person should be able to explain to you what their goal is and what their outcome is in the session that they're going to work with you in. And, I've heard a lot of people say, yeah, I did some work with this person, but I just really didn't know what my direction was afterwards. They gave me a lot of insight, but I just did not know what to do with it. And I think that in today's world, we as spiritual leaders and mentors need to give people strategies. We need to at least give them one or two steps after we work with them to say, okay, now go try this. This would be some steps that you could enter into, and this may be helpful, and this may guide you to be able to overcome some of the things that you're working on. The other thing that a good spiritual leader does is that they encourage you to really become open-minded, to be able to step out and see things in a different way and not get caught up in that you can only see things one way. So that's a very positive trait of a leader, is to for them to help you open your mind, because sometimes if you have an issue that you're trying to overcome, you have to acknowledge it. You have to be open-minded. You have to accept that before you can start to work on the problem. And sometimes people don't encourage you to do that or don't guide you to do that. And I talked earlier about some of the negative traits, but another positive trait of any type of personal development leader, spiritual leader, workshop leader is that everything's very clear. It's very clear on what the fee is, what the timing is, how you access the information, when the program is available, those types of things. It's very organized, and there's nothing worse than wanting to do a program with someone and they're very unorganized and just can't seem to get it together. And so sometimes that might mean you just step away from that. Also, you need to be very clear about what it is you're looking for so that that person can maybe assess what your needs are, and then they can even give you feedback and say, hey, this is what I think might be good for you. It's up to you to make that decision, but this is what I'm seeing right now. And they're being honest, and they're giving you good, and they're giving you quality feedback. Also, don't be hesitant to ask questions, and don't be hesitant to say you didn't get an answer for the question that you ask. And I have seen individuals that go round and round and never really answer the question. And that's sometimes it's kind of a game and you're not really sure. And that's when I say step away if that is starting to happen. The other, I think one of the final pieces in this discussion today, or what I'm talking about, is I think the really good leaders and ethical leaders will have free resources. They'll have information. They may have downloads. They may have podcasts. They may have free workshops, at least to introduce themselves to you. And just like I'm doing this podcast, I'm introducing myself to my audience because I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I want to be able to make a difference in others' lives. And that's my goal and my purpose in life, is to serve others with the gifts and the experience and the knowledge that I've collected over my lifetime. And I think that when a person is honest and talks about that and they're positive, and their goal is to move forward always, to help you move forward, and they move forward with you, you all move forward together. That's what's important. And that's one of the reasons that I don't spend a lot of time digging into a lot of the negativity that's in the world right now, because that can interfere with what you're doing. I focus on the good, and I focus on moving forward. Also, lastly, a really good quality of a good spiritual leader is someone that encourages you to be successful, and that believes in you and gives you guidance and actually says, look, you've got the confidence now. Now it's time to step out. Now it's time to take action. Now it's time to move forward, and don't be afraid. Don't allow any challenge or any problem or anything to stand in your way. And it's very important to know who you're going to work with. And, in my lifetime, and I've spent many years working on myself, I've spent many years understanding others and what they wanted to accomplish in their personal development. And I think that your personal development or spiritual path, or overcoming maybe even where you've had maybe some mental blockages. It's a very personal journey, and you have the right to find the right person that is going to work with you, the right person that's going to be the best for you, someone that you know, that you feel like you know because you've either done research on them or you've watched a lot of things that they do, and you like them, you like their personality, they stay positive, they seem happy, they seem grounded, and someone that you trust, because trust is the most important when you're working with someone else. So, I hope that this gives you a little bit of good information on, pay attention. There's a lot of frauds out there in today's world, and I'm not trying to, I guess I am judging them. I'm not, but what I'm doing is I'm really looking at the facts. I'm looking at their behaviors. I'm looking at what they're saying. I'm looking at, if you're a spiritual leader and you're going down that rabbit hole and you're negative and you're calling people names and you're being egotistical and you can't see the other side of a situation, then something's wrong. So I hope that this really helped you today. And just remember that um, leaders create leaders, they don't create followers. And so you should be able to come out of any program or any session or any situation that you're in where you're getting insight, you're getting instruction or training or leadership. You should be able to walk out as a leader, not a follower. So that's it for today. I hope this helps. I'll see you soon.